Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Thursday, the 19th day of March. Here we go. Today I want to get to the nitty-gritty of explaining what it is that we do when we have the Motzi Matzah at the Seder. You're probably all familiar with following the instructions in the Haggadah and saying what to do, but not a lot of people understand the background of it, so here goes. You should just know that in the background of getting to that moment in the Seder, there are two brachas and two things that are happening at that moment, and that's part of why we do it in a bit of an unusual way. First of all, there's the bracha, of course, of Hamotzi. And you know that we make the bracha of Hamotzi because we're about to eat matzah. But there's also the special bracha that we make for the mitzvah of eating matzah that night. And therefore there's two brachas, of course. But then it gets into some halacha questions that you didn't even know happened. Like one of the questions was, I guess I'm going to eat an olive size of matzah, but should I eat that olive size of matzah from the upper matzah? Or should I be eating the olive size of matzah from the lower piece of matzah, the one that's half broken? Also, the rabbis had a question as to whether I should make two brachas over one matzah. Would that be an appropriate thing, to make two brachas over one matzah? And even if I was making two brachas over one matzah, or even if I decided, okay, it's not nice, I'll make two brachas over two matzahs, but which blessing would apply to which matzah? Would the hamotzi go on the broken one? Would the hamotzi go on the whole one? And because of this, because of the confusion of some of the details I've just told you now, this is why the Haggadah says a bit of an unusual thing to do at that point. First of all, when we make the motzi and the matzah, we hold all three matzahs in our hand, and that's because we want to at least be able to fulfill Lechem Mishnah, holding two whole matzahs. And I can only accomplish that by holding the bottom matzah along with the top one and the middle one, and that way the bottom and the top are two whole matzahs. Okay, so we got that part, and we understand why we're doing that. But then something else happens here, and that is that we don't have a chance to really fulfill the biblical way of eating the sacrifice that night because we don't have a temple. We don't really fully have the chance to do the full eating of the maror that night, the bitter herbs, although we of course do it, but it might only be a rabbinic thing that we're enacting that night because we don't really have the sacrifice with which it goes. The only mitzvah that we could really be doing that night, which is really biblical, is it says Ba'erev Tochel Matzos, on that night you shall eat matzah, and that's why we don't want to mess up on the eating of our matzah. So we want to go all out and do that one biblical command that we're going to for sure get to do that night, which is eating matzah, and we want to do it to the fullest. Therefore, the Chassam Sofer says that's why it came out that we do this in a kind of big way, and we end up eating a lot of matzah, more than we might have had to eat. What we're actually going to try to do at that moment is eat two olive sizes of matzah, and that's because we want to get this biblical command really, really right. Now, in order to eat two biblical sizes, there's a whole giant confusion about what's a biblical size of an olive, olive size of matzah. So this is going to sound crazy here, but when the rabbis went in to figure this all out and say, what kind of egg are we using, what kind of olive are we using, would we be considering the pit and not the pit, it makes for a whole complicated thing, which I won't go into now. But they decided in the end that we should follow at least the giant size, the biggest opinion as to what an olive size could possibly be. According to all the figuring of most of the rabbis, the biggest size that one olive size could be, the biggest possible opinion out there, is about 2/3 of a machine matzah, and somewhere around 1/2 of a round hand matzah. And therefore, now you're getting to what you see everybody do at the Seder. Therefore, it was decided by the rabbis, look, let's try to get this mitzvah done to its fullest. So let's use the olive size, the biggest one that's out there that's known, and that is 2/3 of a matzah according to the machine size, and about a half a matzah, a little near a half of a matzah of the round size. And when you do that, you're fulfilling a biblical command of an olive size. Now, not to mix you up, that big olive size that you're now eating, according to a lot of opinions, is two olive sizes of the more small opinions that are out there. So remember when we told you that we want to say, like, should I eat a kazayas from the upper one, an olive size from the upper matzah or the lower matzah? Maybe I should just eat two olive sizes. So in order to make all this come true, what the rabbis said is, look, let's eat the biggest olive size that we know of, which is the size I just described to you, 2/3 of a machine matzah. Let's note that that qualifies, according to a lot of opinions, as being 2 olive sizes of the smaller size olives, and therefore I'm sort of fulfilling that other thing, which is maybe I'm supposed to be eating a kazayas out of the top one, maybe I'm supposed to be eating a kazayas out of the bottom one. Let's just make the blessings over both of them at the same time while I'm holding them, and now I've sort of accomplished everything. It's a biblical command, so I'm eating the biggest olive size that there is. That olive size is simultaneously fulfilling, probably according to a lot of opinions, being 2 olive sizes, because there are a lot of olive sizes that are included in the big giant olive size. So I probably confused you a little. You still do what it says in your Haggadah. You still do what it says in your Haggadah. But what your Haggadah is telling you to do is to do the biggest biblical size piece of matzah olive size that there is, which according to a lot of opinions counts as 2 olive sizes, and that way we fulfill all the confusion of I'm eating an olive size from the upper one, I'm eating an olive size from the lower one, I'm making 2 blessings, I'm holding both matzahs, so the blessing could go on either one of the 2 matzahs, and I'm allowed to make them at the same time. That's what you're doing at that interesting moment in the Seder. Sorry for the confusion, but you still do exactly what it says in your Haggadah. Thanks for logging on. Bye-bye.